Greetings, Patrick here. 8 questions with. Some of you may know me as Have Cheetah Will View. Um, Glad you're here. It's Tuesday, start of a new week with 8 questions with. We're starting back on our regular day on Tuesday. As you know, last week we were really busy. We had a lot of people to talk to, as we do this week. We are here for 3 shows this week, and we are kicking it off with interviewing actress Rose Bianco. Hey bud, how are you? How are you? So Rose Bianco is in the hit series Cobra Kai. She plays Miguel's grandmother Rosa, and she is quite the favorite. I was actually sharing with her. I was doing some research on the show and her, and they had a list of all the female characters in Cobra Kai, and they ranked them. Now, of course, Cobra Kai has a lot of people in the cast, ton of people. Um, and so they were just, they did the women of the show, the girls and women of the show. And Rosa's character, Rosa, the grandmother, placed seventh. She's the seventh most popular person on the show, according to this poll. I can tell you by talking to her, I can see why. Rosa's very vivacious. Uh, you can really sense a lot of passion she has for her craft. She loves what she's doing. She's very good at it too, as you'll find out once we get into it. After we talk to her. Um, yeah, she's been and appeared in a lot of good projects, a lot of good films, a lot of good TV with a lot of star power, and she is holding her own. Um, it's amazing. It truly is. The fact of the matter is, it used to be where you were to be a certain age and then you couldn't get leading roles anymore, or you get that old tired role, like the secretary or the kitchen worker or whatever. But streaming has really evened the playing field for that. The streaming services. This is one good thing. Um, it has allowed a lot of actors to keep working and be in demand. Get invited to do a lot of different projects, and Rose is definitely one of those. She is constantly working, and I'm so really glad I was able. In fact, as a matter of fact, we were supposed to try to do this interview about a month and a half ago. Month and a half, 2 months ago. I had talked to her publicist, and we had set it up the show. And right before I was able to start the promo on it, starting to do that, thinking about that, and I got a phone call saying that Rose had to reschedule because of shooting conflict, schedule conflicts. That happens. That happens. In fact, it happened tomorrow. It happened to me today with one of my guests tomorrow. They won't be able to make it because they had a sudden shoot. That happens. It's the nature of the beast. So that's one thing you learn real quick in doing a show like this. You have to be ready for that, for that to happen, because they never know when they're going to get a call. They could audition for something 3 months ago, and then the next day, the day of your show that they're supposed to do an interview with, they could get a call for their agent and tell them, "Hey, you got to be in Texas by 6 p.m. Gotta go. Work calls. Gotta go." Um, so that does happen. Um, oh, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. This is gonna be a lot of fun. This is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this interview very much, and I do believe a lot of you will as well. Now, whereas obviously, she has starred in Cobra Kai at the very popular show, and we will be talking about that. But we're going to be also talking about her career as well. Rose has over 50 credits underneath her belt, and she's worked with some tremendously talented cast and directors and what have you. So as you'll see, um, yeah, it's quite impressive, and we will have a lot of questions to ask her. not just the 8. So while we're doing that, while we're waiting for Rose to get here, she'll be here in about 10 minutes or so. So obviously, I got to go ahead and talk about what's coming up on the show. I got to talk about the show because we we have we have people coming. We do. We have people coming, and this is who we got. Now that you asked me, I can go ahead and tell you. So tomorrow, unfortunately, we could not hold on to Ellie O'Hara. That just seems to be bad. It's just bad. It's just fate. We tried to reschedule it twice, and it just didn't work out. It happens. So Ellie O'Hara at this time is not going to be able to make it, and I'm not sure if we'll reschedule that one. So that happens too. So, but tomorrow night we will be back here because we have the lovely Sarah Nicklin will be here. And Sarah has done a ton of work. She's done a ton of horror. If you like, if you like horror movies and you like Final Girls and you like that sort of activity, you'll definitely Screen Queen activity. You'll definitely enjoy our discussion tomorrow. Sarah and I will be chopping it up tomorrow, talking about horror, independent horror, different characters she plays, how she approaches it, how she works hard to keep keep her drive fresh. Doing a lot of horror films. You wonder if some of the actors, they go from one horror film to another. It's sort of hard to just, how do you keep that same level of, of fire going in your belly? You're playing the victim again, or you're playing the murderer again, and you go from script to script, and in this genre. I think that in fact, I dare say that she probably is one of those young ladies that every part is the best part. And I'm sure she approaches it like that. So she'll be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. And then Thursday, the 29th, we'll be welcoming in young actress Rebecca Silk will be here with us at 8 p.m. on the 29th of September. Now, of course, on the 25th, I will be joined by Betty J. Gathers and Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater from the Cinema Squad. They'll be joining us on Sunday for our look at John Wick 3 Parabellum. Unfortunately, the Bat got lost, and he won't be able to make it on Sunday. You know how bats are; they get lost easy. That's why cats are always better than bats. So he will be joining us on the 23rd of October. He will return on the 23rd of October for our show on Terrifier. All right, so in Oktoberfest. So we're going to be kicking off our first week, and I'm really excited about this too. So we're going to be talking to a couple of young actors who are just now getting their feet wet in the business. I had commented on the Monday preview show that you get to talk to all sorts of people. You could talk to established actors, working actors like Rose Bianco. Speaking of Rose Bianco, she's here. So let's put our hands together and go get her. So please welcome Rose Bianco to 8 Questions With.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. I hope everything is good because
Oh, you sound perfect.
all right. I was looking at the last minute for the earbuds, and I couldn't find them. So
No, you sound and look perfect.
good.
Glad you are here with us here on 8 Questions With. And yeah, I was just mentioning, I always read I always do my calendar before the guest gets here. And I was just saying how next week is going to feature two of my guests next week are just starting out. They're just starting out. They're doing baby steps. They each got a young lady named Yvette Willett
Uh-huh.
and a young actor named James Dianamo, and they're just starting out. They each got like four less than 5 credits, so they're just making their way through. They're starting out,
If they have
and
5 credits, they're not doing bad.
no,
Mhm.
no, and you know what? More power to them because I love catching them there. When I interview people, I like catching them when they very first start. Because that to me that's exciting because you're catching them up and you get to follow their journey. I mean, it's awesome interviewing established stars such as yourself. Working actors, stars. It's fun, but I came from a music background, and a lot of the fun I had was finding bands before they popped. Like you book a band before nobody else ever heard of them, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, it's No Doubt or it's Everclear. Or,
What? What?
yeah,
You had those?
yep, yep.
Gosh. Wait, on this
Mhm.
podcast? How long has this
No,
podcast been going
no,
on
no,
for?
I'm saying back with my music days. See,
Oh,
I used to book clubs back there, and you would have all these bands that would come in and play your small club. And then next thing you know, they're coming in. They weren't signed to anybody. Nobody knew who they were, other than their friends and family. And then next thing you know, they're signing up a contract. And next thing you know, they're on TV. They're playing in front of thousands. So it's a lot of fun. It's a
yeah.
lot of fun catching it right there.
I worked
Um,
in I worked in uh, a restaurant in Minneapolis. I was a server, and the B-52s were playing in this little club. It wasn't a club; it was like a restaurant, kind of, but I guess
wow.
half club, half restaurant. And they were amazing. And I was dancing, and the boss was like, "Stop dancing, serve the people." And then he caught me dancing again. So he was like, "Give me your apron." And
What?
I got fired for dancing at the B-52s. Yeah.
Oh my Lord. Wow, if I would have been there for that, I would have had to kick that guy in the sack. Who the hell could you know what? If a band, I'm surprised the band didn't see that. I can tell you this, bands are very protective of their fans.
Mhm.
Um, sometimes they will literally stop a show in the middle of a show if someone's acting, stupid. They'll sit there and stop. I've seen this happen many times. They'll stop a show and say, "Hey, that guy there is bothering somebody, or that guy there just hit somebody, or that guy there just spilled a beer on somebody on purpose." They'll stop a set and they'll say, that person needs to go home. And
Cool.
that's
That's good.
exactly what happens. You go ahead and you stop and you send that person home. So I'm sure if they would have spotted that, they probably would not have been too happy with your manager.
Well,
Uh,
but he let me stay to finish the concert. So he wasn't a horrible person, totally.
yeah. Well, I don't see how you fire anybody for dancing. That's crazy. So how was your day today?
Let me see. I'm learning lines for an audition. Um, I didn't do a whole lot today, but I had to set up like I had to change my flight to New York because there's a hurricane coming,
Yes.
and I wasn't going to go till Thursday, but I changed that. I changed, I had to get an extra Airbnb day, and um, I did a lot of crossword puzzles. I don't.
My dad was a huge puzzle guy. He used to do the New York Times puzzle every day.
That takes so long, Patrick. I do it every once in a while, and it takes me like 2 hours to at least to do the New York Times crossword puzzle.
I have never done a New York Times puzzle. I, I mean, I've heard of it, of course, but I've never done one. Is it really that intensive?
Um, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, it's hard, and a lot of people can't get through it. But to do it without cheating, without looking stuff up, it's like brain power. I do, of course, the Wordle, which is nothing compared to that. And the spelling bee and the mini crossword. And sometimes I'll do the crossword puzzle if I have time. Because that's just the way I go. How's that thing go? That's how
That's how I roll.
That's how I roll, right?
We got some people in the chat here saying hello. Our good friend Eerie Frog is saying hello, Rose.
Hello.
And making fun of me again, poking fun at me, because YouTube is it's a weird place. It's a weird place. So he keeps on tweaking my toes by calling me a big tuber, and I'm like, oh my lord, you know what? I'm about as small as tuber as you can get. Hey Claymere, how are you? Yeah, the hurricane is coming. I hope everybody is okay. Do you have anybody down in Florida right now? Do you know anybody in Florida that's in the wake in the?
I do. I do. My sister
Ooh.
lives north of Tampa. My niece lives in Tampa. My other niece lives in Ormond Beach, which is right by the water. And then I have a bunch of friends, new friends that I made because I did a movie in Florida a few weeks ago. And I think it'll be fine, but you never know.
Yeah, it's you know what, you just hope that we have friends too. Our friend Betty's down there, my friend Mary Wilson down there, just a ton of people. My friend Betty said that she's gonna put a leash around her dog and fly it like a kite, and I thought that was hilarious.
God.
No, it's her dog. She loves her dog. I think people.
That's like black humor because you're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so bad. The winds. That's like the joke that you make. I've never.
I told her my cheetah is so fast that he'd be running between the raindrops, not getting wet. I did look at the hurricane right before I went on the air, before I started, because I wanted to check it out. Because they're real close to it, and I'm very concerned. We all are. We're very concerned for our friends and family down there, and yeah, that thing looks wicked. I mean, maybe it's because I have all those graphics on the screen. Like it looks like a hurricane's looking like this. It's the whole screen of your TV.
Yeah,
it's like it's all moving toward there, and you go in there, man. That's just like that looks just to be like the worst thing ever. Category 3. Well, at least I think Florida is able to handle it. I think they're hardier land than say New Orleans, because New Orleans is under sea level. So they get it so much worse.
Yeah.
But have you ever been through a natural disaster, Rose? Have you ever gone through like an earthquake or a hurricane or anything like that in your life?
A hurricane. My mother did when she lived in Puerto Rico, which was decades, because she's Puerto Rican. But she went back there after we grew up. She sold the house and went to PR. And she was like, they get ready when a hurricane is coming, and she had to get jugs of water and fill up the bathtub because the water always stops. And somebody died of a heart attack during a big one, but not Maria. It was before Maria. So that's scary. I personally have not gone through anything like that. Besides like blizzards in Chicago when I was little, and where everybody was just stuck in the whole city. I remember the big blizzard. I think it was like 1976. It was this huge blizzard where the whole city shut down. It's crazy.
I haven't been through a blizzard quite that big, even though I'm in Michigan. I'm in southeastern Michigan, so we do get our fair share of snow, but we never had anything quite like that.
Well, this was really big. You can look it up. It was like everything was a standstill, and that lasted a couple of days. I think I had to quit my job. I was a waitress. I was 18. Was I 18? I think I was like out of college by this time. I dropped out of college actually after my second year, but so I think I might have been 20. So that might have been 1970. Well, I'm giving away my age, aren't I?
Yeah. See how we did that? No.
Yeah.
No. Don't worry. I'm 58. There you go. So you're not alone. I'll state my age as well. Uh, but that must have been really interesting. I mean, I remember it's funny because I moved from California. I was born and raised in California, and I came here to Michigan. And and the first time I saw snow and like real snow, it was just like, the first thing I did was I went and made a snow angel.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true story. Um, I love the snow. And it has never bothered me. I know a lot of people don't like driving in it or whatnot. I'm perfectly fine driving in it. Um, it's but yeah, I rather drive through snow than rain.
Oh God, no. Snow is horrible. But let me ask you, how long have you been in Michigan?
I've been here for 23 years now.
Oh wow, it's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, you're a Michigander now.
Yeah. That's how I consider myself a Michigander. I do. I don't have any desire to go back to California.
No.
I just no, just it's so expensive there now.
Well, it's just apparently horrible. I don't know. Were you in Southern California?
Yeah, I grew up in Southern California, and then I moved to Central, outside of the Bay, in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Uh-huh.
And I was there for 17 years before I moved out here.
I lived in San Francisco.
Did you?
I did. Um,
Uh,
about 4 years.
how'd you like it?
I think maybe three, between 3 and 4 years. I can't remember. I loved it. I was supposed to be going to New York to pursue my career, and I actually sent like a trunk of clothes, like in the mail, I guess, to my big sister. I remember doing this. I was at my mom's, and I said I'm going to go to New York, and but first I'm going to go to San Francisco to visit my old roommate Liz, who had gone to San Francisco, and her boyfriend was driving there. And I said, well, I'm going to hitch a ride with her boyfriend and just kind of take a little vacation in San Francisco. And I was there like 2 days, and I was like, I'm just staying here. This is nice. I loved it. I loved it. I did.
Um,
My sister had
no,
to send me stuff, and she sent me $100. I was like, give me $100. I need some money. But she just like, okay, Rosie. But like, I guess 3 or 3.5 years later or whatever, I ended up moving to New York and continued.
yeah. Now, I only have one preset question for you.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't do presets. But what I will ask you is I will ask you where you were born and raised at, and we'll kick it
Yes.
off.
Which I've already given abundant clues. I'm from Chicago.
Chicago. That's right. Born Chicago. What a great place to live at. Now, did you live in Chicago? Did you live in Chicago as a child? I mean, all the way till you went to college, or
Yeah. I was born in Chicago. Yes, and born and raised. And we lived on the north side because in those days we could. Nowadays, only rich people live on the north, the near north side. But like we lived on. Do you know Chicago a little bit?
actually, we actually went there on a honeymoon, so
Okay.
I know a little bit of downtown.
Well, we were by the lake, and we did rent an apartment near Wrigley Field at one point, and that was fun because we used to go to see games all the time. Mhm.
Nice, nice. Now, did you stand? Did I know a lot of folks in Chicago. They could go in and watch the game, but they rather stay outside the park and watch the game. What did you do? Did you go inside the park, or did you go outside?
Well, no, we would sneak in. No,
Oh,
the we would sneak in. The neighborhood kids. I didn't go with my family. It was just me and my sister and the neighborhood kids. We would sell parking spaces in front of our house, the apartments,
right.
and for 50 cents. It was like,
Oh,
we need 50 cents for you to park here, and then they'd give us 50 cents or $1 or whatever. One guy
did
was said, Do you own that house?" And I said, "No." So then I ran away. But
uh,
we would go.
could you imagine doing that today? You could probably charge a couple $100 today.
No, that's funny. No, so I was about 12, I guess. This is between like 12 and 15. We lived there, and we used to just go to the back gate when the game had started, and we was like, please let us in, please let us in, and they'd always let us in.
That's you know what? That's really sweet.
Yeah,
Back at a much more innocent time, right?
yeah, yeah. It was.
Um,
I had a great childhood, I have to say. I was in the city. We in the summer we were in the street all day, and there was like a big Newfoundland named Patsy who would like wander back and forth all over the neighborhood, and it was just we'd play Red Rover, or we'd play soccer, or kickball, or whatever, or just kind of go to our friend's house and hang out. It was a different time.
yes.
Nowadays, people are very protective of their children and never that the idea of letting them play in the street all day, that's just not a thing anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. Like I'll be working up in my office, and if the wind is just right, I'll hear the kids from the elementary school, which is a little bit away from me, but I can hear them, and they're laughing and playing. And it's like it's such a joyful noise to hear because you don't really hear it anymore. Like after school hours, you don't really get kids running up and down the sidewalk playing. I mean, I live in a subdivision, so there are kids here, but you see them riding their bicycles per se, but you don't see them like out in the street playing football you know, or playing baseball too much. And we have parks. We have beautiful city parks here, and we don't really get to see that too often. And we have the amenities for it. We have the room and space for it, but between the parents being too protective and the kids being too busy doing YouTube and video games, those I don't think the days when you and I were kids will
Yeah.
ever come back. And here's the cheetah. He wanted to come by and say hi.
Hi. Aw. He looks so wild.
And he is. He's fierce.
I'm having trouble with these glasses. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm like, I can't even see. So I'm going to change to these. This is much better. Much better.
Oh. All right, Paladin.
Okay.
Buddy. So now, when you were growing up, did you have what did you do? Like, what did you watch? I mean, did you watch a lot of TV or a lot of movies when you were growing up? Was there any, do you remember the first inkling that you had that this is something you might want to do?
I do, but it wasn't from watching TV. I did watch a lot of TV. Um, Gilligan's Island, a lot of reruns on Channel 9, Gilligan's Island, Dick Van Dyke. Those are my favorite ones, I think. I Dream of Jeannie, things like that. So I watched a lot of those old shows after school. And I didn't really think about acting then. I wasn't the kind of kid that would put on shows for the
Right.
family or any of that sort of thing. But when I was in high school, I was doing plays. But it was a Catholic all girls high school, so we only did, and it was very very small. So we only did one play per year, and I did that one play. The first year I was a sailor in South Pacific, and I really had a good time. And it's a very like a camaraderie that I really liked, and it's like fun. And it took forever, because it was like the only show, so they were probably rehearsing for like 3 months. But then the next year I did Mame, Mame. You know
Oh
that?
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I played Gloria Upson in that. Um, and I played in Hello Dolly. I played Mrs. Malloy in Hello Dolly. So, and I guess I only did 3 shows, or I might have done another one in freshman year, but I don't remember. I do remember though thinking how I loved it, especially when I got Gloria Upson and I was very funny. It's a very small role, but when I went on and did my thing, everybody laughed, and I was like, I was kind of hooked.
Right. Right.
And the
I,
nun told me that you're very good at this, Rose. I'm like, yeah, I think so. I think I am.
I think when people do plays, because you hear people say they'll do plays, as far as they're getting their start at. Do you
Mhm.
think, do you think it's safe to say that that most people get hooked off of comedy first, then drama. I
I,
mean,
I'm not going to say that that's safe to say. What really, really hooked me and had me change my major in college was a theater games class where we had to act like animals, act like giraffes and whales, or act like, the whole thing. Like, I don't know if you know the chorus line, but Morales is singing this song about be an ice cream, be an ice cream. It's like we had to, it was like dumb exercises like that. And it was so, um, I was so engaged that I just realized, my God, I just love this. I've never been so focused, and you know how when you're in the zone and time has no meaning, it was like that. And so I said, I think this is what I want to do. And I changed my major. This was like in the spring of my senior year. And I started working at a theater nearby because we were like, I had a single mother, we never went to the theater. That wasn't a thing we did. And I had seen a couple of shows that traveling people go to your school and do these dumb shows, thank God for them. So I started volunteering at a local theater, which was an equity theater. It was like an important theater. And I was like selling Cokes and closing, ushering and stuffing envelopes and all that sort of thing.
you know,
Um,
you know, you know what that's an amazing. That's amazing because I see a lot of people. I'm sure if you've been inside any group chats or if you've been inside any acting groups or bulletin boards or what have you, you always see people always coming through and saying, "Well, how do I get started? How do I get started? How
uh-huh.
do And I used to, I tell people all this because I get asked that too. I get asked, and I'm not an actor. I never have been,
Yeah.
but I'll be inside of a group and someone will tag me and they'll sit there and say, how did you get started, or how did I? And I'm like, I don't act, but what I can do is I can tell you what I would do if I did. That's exactly what you did. You volunteered at a theater.
Yeah. That's what I did. Yeah.
You know, that's brilliant. It's brilliant. You get your foot in the door. You get to learn all the departments. You get to learn how it works from the bottom up. How invaluable were all those lessons to you? Uh, do you feel?
Invaluable because it gave me my first job. I mean, talk about foot in the door. This was probably, I had a very unique experience, but this is before I even started college, before September. So this all happened in the span of like 3 or 4 months. I was stuffing envelopes and ushering, and then there was a show playing in the secondary theater, and the main stage was like they were doing Volponi, but on the secondary stage, like what we would call the black box now, but it had maybe like 150 seats or something like that. There was a show running that had been running for a year and had won the Joseph Jefferson Award for Best Play, which was Joseph Jefferson Award is kind of like the Tonys of Chicago. And I guess the manager said, "Oh, they need somebody to sell Cokes at intermission, and can you do that?" And I'm like, "Sure, I can do that." And meanwhile, I was taking classes, acting classes, and we're talking about fundamental acting classes. In fact, I have to add Nesbitt to my resume. Nesbitt Blaisdell was my first acting teacher. He taught me action and objective. Just pick one objective and then one action to accomplish that objective. I remember very clearly that I needed to clean the bathtub. It was a pretend bathtub. Um, it was just like, or now you have two objectives, and what are the actions that you're going to do to accomplish those objectives? So this is like fundamental acting 101. I was taking that class with Nesbitt and selling Cokes for the Actors Company. And after a couple of months or something, they were writing a play that was a sequel to the one that had been running for like over a year. And they asked me to audition. And, you could have like tipped me over because it was like, you want me to audition? Like I'm 18. I don't know anything, And
Wow.
they said, yeah, we have a role for a 17-year-old Puerto Rican girl, and we'd like you to audition. And so I think they wrote the role, I think, for me. And I played the lead's girlfriend. And
How cool is that?
that was quite an amazing experience. It threw me headlong into the business. I did it for several months, I think maybe 6 or 7 months. And I got my first agent because Jack Wallace, who was in the play, he was like, yeah, you need an agent. Come with me. We're gonna go to my agent. We're gonna get you signed up. So I walk in with, and believe me, this is one of the hardest things for an actor to do is to get an agent. And he
Yeah.
just took me to the agent and said, Amelia, this is Rose. This is Rosie. She needs an agent. So he was a big, larger than life guy. He was a great, great, great man. He was in a lot of David Mamet plays and movies. So
Yeah. If David Mamet, I mean, would that if you got a chance to do a David Mamet play or movie, would you do that in a heartbeat?
of course, he's one of the great playwrights of America,
He really is.
Yes.
I love his movies so much. It is, I think he's probably my favorite playwright. He
Wow.
has such his command of the language of English. It's amazing watching his actors. Say his words. Either be film or play. Wow.
Well, he's a
Yeah.
little like Aaron Sorkin. It's like the words, the words, the words. The words are so, so rich. He wrote also a couple of acting books, which are, I mean, just perfect. They're so funny. They're like, they're so simple and straightforward and a little sarcastic. He's kind of a sarcastic guy a little bit, but I'm reading this acting books and I'm thinking, this is spectacular. This is priceless. I'm like cutting pieces out and putting it on Facebook. Like, look at this. This is hilarious. So he's just the greatest. I met him in a pawn shop in Chicago.
Really?
Yes, I think it was his uncle's pawn shop. And I went in and I have no idea why I was like 18 or 19 years old going into a pawn shop, but I must have needed something. I don't know.
Right.
And I was like, you're David Mamet. He goes, yeah. And then I left immediately, I think. I don't know. I wasn't very good at social interactions.
But you recognized him, though.
I did, because this was big. He was big in Chicago theater. Chicago theater was a happening thing at that time.
I'm looking over here at the chat. Our good friend Erie is here. He is a huge fan of yours. He loves Cobra Kai.
Mm-hmm.
Our other friend, he's also a huge movie. He runs a big movie channel too. He's part of what we call the Cinema Squad. They cover all sorts of great movies. He says he needs to find out how that escape room ends from Cobra Kai 5.
I don't know. I've never been in an escape room ever.
Oh, yeah, I've never been in an escape room either, but I would like to try it.
It seems like I only saw it on The Big Bang Theory. It seems interesting. I don't know. It's just not my thing, I guess.
We also have our friend from New Zealand is here. Andre is here. So you got a fan from all the way from New Zealand. That's cool. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, we're getting close to Cobra Kai. We're gonna get there. I promise.
Oh yes.
I enjoy the journey there. I don't necessarily want to jump on the right away into that, because I'm really enjoying your story, how you got there. It's rich. It's a very, very cool story.
Yeah.
Now, where did you go to? And you're 19 years old and you recognize David Mamet. I mean, that's insanely cool. I mean, most
at this
19-year-olds.
time, this was like the Steppenwolf was starting. Mamet was a huge writer at the time, and the organic theater was really big at the time. And David was, I think, William H. Macy, Bill Macy, he was doing a David Mamet play at the Body Politic. I mean, this was like the theater scene at the time. So I was very entrenched in that.
Yeah, William H. Macy and David Mamet are they must be very good friends, very good because David Mamet has done on David William H. Macy has done a lot of Mamet movies.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
um, so so here you are, you're 19, and where did you go to college at?
DePaul University.
Okay, so you were a blue demon. Um,
Yes. Oh my God.
now when you went to college, now did you plan on majoring in acting? Is that was something you did, or the freshman year, or is this, or
Um,
did you?
I did. I did. I was supposed to be pre-law, and I changed it to speech and drama, which is what they had as their theater major.
Okay. And now, did you start working a lot more right there? Did you? I mean, I have a feeling you did a lot of plays in your, when you were coming up.
I didn't do that many, um, but I did do some in college, and I went to an acting school simultaneously. I had a full scholarship, by the way. So I simultaneously was going to the Ted List School of Acting. It was called the Boteg Guild at that time, but it was Ted List was it. And it was like a conservatory kind of an environment, and I did a lot of plays there actually. And then I ended up moving to Minneapolis and did a play over there, Scapino, and then I ended up moving to San Francisco, and I joined this theater collective, a women's theater collective in San Francisco, and we did a few plays, but we did them for a long time, and we wrote plays. We wrote them and put them together, and they were very, very campy and broad. We had a lot of glitter. It was just like a very empowering feminist kind of fun theater group, and I did that for a couple of years. Um, and then I decided I needed to get more serious about my career because that was fun. It was very underground, it was fun, but I needed to kind of get back on track. So I auditioned for a show at the Magic, which is a big theater in San Francisco, the Magic Theater, and I got a role in the Magic, and I was able to get my equity card. And then after that, I said it's time to go to New York. So I wouldn't say that I did beaucoup theater work, but I did do enough that it looks respectable because some people don't do any theater and you're missing out on how to act, basically, in my opinion. I don't know.
It looks like we have some questions now coming in. So I'm just going to give you some of these questions as we'll take them as they come in. Our
Okay.
friend Monkey says, questions for your guest. He wants to know what your favorite meal is. I don't know if she can give out her favorite recipe, because it's probably a family secret. But
I love that.
um, and let's see. Let's see. Yeah. So what is your favorite meal? But let's put it this way. I'm going to throw in a question in there too. What's your favorite meal that you make for yourself and your family, and what's your favorite meal that you've ever had at a restaurant?
Okay. Taking my glasses off, so you're a little blurry, Patrick, but it's getting annoying. So anyway, my favorite meal for me to cook for my family is uh, rice with corn and sausages and beans on the side and chicken stew and some salad. It's like a Puerto Rican dish, and Everybody loves it. When my daughter would be out of town and she would come back, she'd ask me to make it always. And that's probably my favorite thing I like to make at home. And then my favorite meal at a restaurant. You know, when I was in San Francisco, I was given a gift certificate by my boss to a French restaurant. And I ordered scallops. And they were little bitty scallops. They weren't the great big round ones. They were
Right.
little bitty scallops. That was the most delicious thing I've ever eaten, I think. And I don't know how they made that so good. I think I like French food. There's a French restaurant in here by me that I've gone to a few times, but it's very expensive. But it's really good. It's good for special occasions.
San Francisco has always had a really great reputation for food.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time I ever went to a restaurant in San Francisco, and with my friend Sheila, and her and I went down there, and she took me to an Italian restaurant. So we went in there and go ahead and order. So we were ordering. We ordered and I pasta salad, and then I ordered some stuff, some stuff of shells. I've been, at that time, every time you go to an Italian restaurant, they give you tons of food.
Uh-huh.
So here in San Francisco, though, they came out and they put the plate down in front of me, and there were 3 rolls, 3 stuffed pasta.
That's funny.
3. And I actually looked at the waiter, and I looked back on my plate. I'm going I looked back at him because I actually thought it was just like a sampler. Did he want me to taste and tell me it was good before he came back with the plate?
Yeah.
And so I said to him, is this like a little sampler plate? My friend kicked me so hard in the shin, I had a bruise on it. That was the meal.
Did you get full? Did you get full?
No. No. On the way out, going back, we had to stop. I had her stop at a fast food place so I could eat. And it was like a $30 plate with 3 stuffed shells, and I was just like, that's absolutely insane. But that's San Francisco.
Yeah, I think. Can I just expound though? I need to answer again. I know I'm wasting all the time, but
No, go. Nope.
so I also when I was dating my husband, we used to go to a place called Monty's in New York, and I would have linguine with clam sauce, and that is my favorite thing. I think linguine with clam sauce.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I see our friend Jonathan comes up there, and this is a question. This is a good question. Jonathan wants to know what's a role you played, and what's the role that you played that meant the most to you? What's one that maybe you think wasn't for you? Like what role did you find yourself? What's your favorite role that you did, and what role did you do where maybe you thought you struggled in it?
There's you really for many reasons, different roles are really important and dear to your heart. And we're talking about TV and film, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So I think the first movie I ever made was called The Ultimate Gift. I did it here about 15 years ago in South Carolina. It's a James Garner movie. And I mean, he's in it, not too much, but it's mainly this young guy named Drew. I've forgotten Drew's last name. And I had to play the South American librarian, and it's plays in the Hallmark still. It's like a kind of like very uplifting kind of a show, Yeah. And I got to play this wonderful lady, and I was funny, and I learned a little bit about being on set. I fell down. I was running up the steps to go into the library, and I like I'm fast, and I ended up slipping and hitting my butt, and it all was all purple. And the medic had to come and lift up my dress, and was like, "Oh, we'll put some ice in here." And so, are you okay to go? And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good to go. I'm good to go." Because I was like, there were like cranes, and there were hundreds of people around, and I'm not going to hold up the whole thing. And I got to realize that Drew was a very good looking guy and flirting with all the girls. But when it came to doing the scene, he was only there for me, because that's what all good actors actually do. They focus on you. If you are in the scene with them and they are talking to you and there's something happening in this scene, it doesn't matter how famous they are or how cute they are or any of those extraneous things. Now we are in this other reality, and we are playing these characters as if we were walking in those shoes. So it's the basic fundamentals of acting. And I learned so much doing that movie, The Ultimate Gift. It was such a good role. I had good lines, and that was important.
That was a strong cast. You got to work with not only did you work with James Garner, but you also worked with Bill Cobb. Worked with one of my favorite actresses, though she was tiny back then.
Yes,
Abigail Breslin.
Mm-hmm.
She's fantastic. I got to work with Lee Merriweather. I mean, so Marcia Monroe, who's a very accomplished actress.
She's wonderful, Marcia Monroe. She's wonderful.
She's a really good actress. What a great way to cut your teeth, as far as your first film.
So that's very meaningful to me. So, and it was a movie that I could be proud of. I like to do shows that I'm proud of, and shows that anybody could see, and that I could tell anybody to see it and nobody's going to be offended. I could tell my mother to see it and she's not going to freak out, So I like to do things like that.
Let's see. Monkey mentioned Monkey. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let me go another question here. I think I'm not missing all these questions here. Let's see. Let's see. Jonathan's mentioned in Wepa, being Latina with that recipe.
I don't go by recipes.
I think I said it right.
Porojo. I don't go by recipes.
Let's see. Then Cheetah West says, if your guest could work with any actor from the movie series that she hasn't starred in yet. So if you could join a franchise or a series now that you haven't guest starred on, I think he wants to know what series would you? He wants to know if you would cast it. What actor would she choose to go? Let's see. Wanting to go to a scene with. Okay. I have to work through this. It's
clearly this is convoluted or something. You're not getting.
No. He's a regular, and so he has I can interpret this. So see, Cheetah, if your guest could work with any actor from a movie series that she has not yet worked in, what actor would she choose as wanting to be in a scene? What franchise would you like to star in? And what actor would you like to share a scene with? There you go. I knew I'd get it.
So, a movie series, right? A movie series?
Yeah, movie series.
Okay. I'm going to say, does it have to be an actor I haven't worked with? That I have not?
No. Go ahead and make it anybody you want.
I'm going to say Guardians of the Galaxy, because Chris Pratt is a quality person and hilarious, and I have worked with him, and he's so great. It would be great to have like a better role and be able to interact more, like have a scene with him, a couple of scenes. He's really a great guy. So yeah, I'd definitely do that. And it's funny and it's great. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. So.
Okay, so there's Guardians of the Galaxy. I see John's asking another question. is there currently a show or a film that you're watching that you would that you would recommend? Just
Recommend?
yeah. Is there a movie or TV show that you're watching? At home. Is there anything that you're watching now that you would recommend?
I'm watching right now. I finished watching Cobra Kai. Um,
Do you like what? Do you like watching yourself on? Do you like watching yourself on screen?
no, I hate it. I look hideous. I hate it. So I don't worry too much about it. Because I watch Project Runway when I'm like reruns when I am getting ready to like in the evening before I go to bed.
Sure.
Um, but like I finished watching Only Murders in the Building. I love that. Um, shoot. That's
You
all I
don't.
can think of right now.
So Project Runway. That's a really interesting show.
Mhm.
My wife used to watch that show.
Yeah, of
It was
course.
it was interesting watching it. I watched it with her. It was interesting. Let's see. There's our good friend Kal comes in. Hello. Let's see. Nothing more Hispanic than cooking by eye. Love it. Yes. All the great chefs cook by eye.
Yes.
I don't know anybody that. Well, okay, maybe me. I don't know any really great chefs that actually operate off a recipe book. I think the only thing my wife ever used a recipe book for was when she's doing baking. That's the only thing. But as far as cooking dinners go and making sauces or what have you, she did it strictly by eye.
Yep.
But baking, she did bring out the book.
Yes. Me too. Me too. Yeah.
Um,
If you mess that up, you're just gonna have like a hunk of like inedible rubber. You have to go by the recipe for baking.
when you were in Chicago, I mean, you were really young. I mean, you were in college. Now, you mentioned earlier that you dropped out in your sophomore year. Was that because you wanted to dive full into the acting, and that you felt like you could do more by being on the stage or being in a troupe, or was there something else that happened?
It was partly that I was going to acting school already, acting conservatory, all anyway, and doing plays anyway. When I started, I was in a play for months. When I first started, and they needed me to do so many like the fundamental classes. The maths and the sciences and the humanities and the religion and the this and that. It was like I got to do maybe one theater related class per semester. And I just wasn't interested in that.
Right, right, yeah. I mean, college would be great if we could just go in and do the classes that we wanted to take,
I
for our
know,
major.
I know. But I
But
was,
they turn around, they say, yeah, but you got to do, you got to do, you got to do, statistics or logic, or it's like,
yeah,
no,
Babylonian math. I took Babylonian math.
Jesus. There's a such thing as a Babylonian math.
Yes,
Good Lord.
it's based in six. It has a six base, not a 10 base. That's all I remember. And there's like little figures for the little people or something for the numbers.
Um, let's see. Here we go. Got more questions. Um, oh, your favorite play that you're in and why?
My favorite play that I was in.
And what made it special?
Oh gosh, I guess this was a while ago. This was about at least 10 years ago. I did The Diary of Anne Frank, and
Mm,
um,
good one.
that was really I played Mrs. Frank,
Uh,
and I'm even like starting to get teary eyed just thinking about it.
yeah.
It was so emotionally wrenching, but we were constantly crying. You're like doing your thing, and there's the old guy who's stealing the food, and his wife, she's a nag, and I don't know. It was just a beautiful show, and that's probably my favorite role.
How long how long how long did the play run?
How long? I think like 4 or 5 weeks.
How do you prepare to do a role like that? And not, I mean, you can do it once. I mean, you look at making a movie, you go there, you do your scenes, and then you go off to a new scene. But here you are every day, for 5 weeks, and you're playing such a powerful role. How hard was it for you to approach it, and and without being just overwhelmed by it?
Um, you don't. I mean, it's not like there was something that I did recently. Okay, because when it comes to the Diary of Anne Frank, at the table read, the very first meeting of the actors, I just sobbed through the whole table read. It's like I feel like I'm a reincarnated Jewish person. I mean, this is how I felt when I went to the Jewish Museum here too. It's like it was just so, I don't know, something about the way it's written, and then during early part of rehearsal, I would just start bawling randomly. So I had to get over that. And when you're actually doing the play, I only have one two very emotional scenes, but generally it's like she's cooking, she's scolding her daughter, things like that. So it's not like a constant like thing, And you can separate yourself. That's what acting is. You. That's what the thing about this play is. There's something about it that I am somehow so connected to that it was pretty difficult getting through the first like couple of weeks.
But
But then I just
isn't
treated it like any show.
isn't it more difficult though to play a real person than it is a fictional character? I mean, you're playing a fiction character. You could actually have room to breathe.
Yeah.
You could take that character and you could stretch your wings out a little bit within that character because you're in the shoes, and it's just a fictional character. And so if you want them to have a small quirk or a saying, or I mean, you could actually do something like that. But when you play a real character like Mrs. Frank, in that time frame, I mean, did you feel like was it a sort of suffocating role? Because
No, 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 not suffocating at all. First of all, we don't know a whole lot about Mrs. Frank. We don't know her habits, not really. We all went to the museum together and we read things together as a group, as a cast, and talked about, what was going on and whatnot. And it was period, so it was 40s. And let me tell you, I love doing period shows.
mm,
I love it. I love being a whole different way and a whole different person, because when you're doing characters in different time frames, they don't talk like we do, and so you moderate your speech, um, and you're usually a little bit more formal if it's in the past, and you're usually a little sit up more straight, and things like that. This is what I love about acting, man. I mean, it's not suffocating at all. It's like that's the challenge to accomplish it. So, within like,
so it actually worked in your favor, and that you didn't know a lot about her. So then you could actually again you could actually stretch your wings out a little bit because she wasn't really well defined. Because we don't, like you said. I mean, I spent a long time since I read the Diary of Anne Frank, but I do remember her mom and her. I do remember. They were in that house for I think a year and a half before they were captured, before they were given up, I should say. But I can just imagine. I just to play a role like that, it's like I just feel I would. I mean, maybe suffocating was the wrong word, but I think what I went to say was because she was so the role is so you want to play with so much respect, and you want to just absolutely just give it the most serious treatment that you possibly can. Is that there's was there any room for you to you know to breathe in that role, like to put maybe a little emphasis on humor, or talk to her like a
There's always humor. Life has humor no matter what the situation is.
yeah.
And I mean, it's somewhat fictionalized, so it's not like I have to try and watch old like monographs of her talking and things.
No.
This is not like I'm playing Eleanor Roosevelt. That would be difficult.
Mm.
That would be difficult. But you read the script. What is Edith Frank's overall or overarching concern? What is her life's motivation overall is to keep her family safe. What is her motivation in this scene to get, and to eat or whatever, or, it's like you break it down and then you get one scene at a time. So you've got an overarching theme, but then you got to eat the elephant in tiny bites. So you have this one scene. What is happening in this scene? Otto is making the bed, and then we're sleeping on the floor, so the children have beds, and I'm aggravated at him. I'm mad at him because I can't even remember why, but I remember I was supposed to be annoyed at Mr. Frank. And the director kind of helps you, like he wants you to, do it like as if this was happening. And so you take that note and you incorporate it. And you just play each scene. There was this one scene where we're at the dinner table and I had to read this psalm. And I lift up mine eyes to the Lord from whence cometh my help. So I had to memorize that Bible passage. And that was an utterly spiritual moment every night. It filled my soul. So it's just like you just take, you're not trying to copy somebody. You take the script, which is the main thing, and you find out what's happening in the script, and then you play the script, basically.
Thank you for explaining that. I mean, and thank you to the chat. You guys are amazing too. Thank you. I promise you, we will get to some Cobra Kai. I promise you. But they also know a lot of the folks in the chat. They've been here a long time. They know how they know how I am. And I like going deep sometimes. I like getting into the meat of it. I don't like doing the simple, what's your favorite color questions. I like to get inside and see how it works,
Yeah.
I'll see how your process works. And thank you for being patient enough to let us do that. I feel quite honored to be honest with you, to be able to hear how you approach this. Did you ever get a chance to do a Mammoth play?
No, he doesn't. Right. I'm old now. I get more opportunities now, but there are no people like me in any Mammoth play. So no. But I almost got a chance to do Glenn Ross, even though I'm a woman. I had to fill in for an actor who was out of town for a week or something.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, I don't know, man, we should have Rose do this character because that was a phenomenal character. But it really needs to be men in order for that show to work, I feel. He has a lot of men in his shows.
David Mammoth is, yeah, awesome. All right, so here we go. You know what? Let's just jump into this because I know they're patiently waiting here.
Oh my God, time is almost up. Yes.
Okay. So let's walk through your. How did you get into Cobra Kai?
Okay, I was doing Godzilla. I was in my trailer looking at Actors Access, which is the open call thing. Like you get auditions from your agent, but some roles you look on Actors Access and maybe you could submit for those yourself. Because the actors are always trying to get work. And there was this breakdown for this character, Rosa. And I was like, well, damn, that sounds like me. Have I been submitted for this role? And I literally called my agent. I'm like, did you submit me for this show? Because I am that character. This is crazy. And they said, we did. And it turns out, or did they? I don't even remember if they did or if they didn't, but they sure did after I told them that to do it.
Right.
And then I went to an audition. I had to tape my audition. And then I got a note, and they asked me to retape it. And this time they said, don't be so sweet. Be a little spicy, you know? That was like the basic note. And so I did it, and then there's like, okay, cool. Then they had me come in for a callback in person. And I just had to do the scene again. It was a scene that's not actually in the show, where I'm like waiting for the bus, and Miguel, you know, we're coming off the bus, and I'm talking to Miguel. So that's it, man. After that callback, I got the job, and it was YouTube.
So you only got one callback before you got it?
One callback, yeah.
Wow,
I had to tape twice, so the second time was kind of like a callback. So then the in-person callback, and then apparently they couldn't fill that role, which is why they had it on Actors Access, because you don't usually see legitimate roles like this on Actors Access unless they're having trouble filling that role. So, yeah, it was good.
So what was your first day on set like? Or table read? I guess. Did you do a table read before you went on set?
I don't think I did. I don't remember doing that. And as you may recall, this was YouTube, and the budget wasn't that big, so everything is a little bit more rudimentary in season 1.
Okay.
My first day, I don't think I went to the table read. They might have had it before I got cast. That happens sometimes.
Now, had you seen the movie before?
Oh, of course.
So you were already a fan then.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot that. I think was it the first 3 seasons were on YouTube, or the first 2?
I think the first two. First two. And then it went to Netflix. Yeah.
And then you definitely could tell the difference between YouTube and Netflix, I'm sure, from the very first day.
Well, so the first day on set, we had to do the scene where we are eating. I remember that very clearly because, the first scene was I was cooking, and I had to go to the door, and what's Miguel doing? I'm like, oh, God. So that was the first thing out the gate. Everybody laughed. It was like I had such a great baptism. So, yeah.
I do remember, I'm thinking about it because I do remember watching the first episode, and that's when Miguel was there in the first episode. He went to get you Pepto-Bismol, and then they poured it on.
Yeah, but I was on episode 3, so that was my first day, episode 3.
Right, but I remember the first scene. I remember the first scene in the show where Johnny's eating a slice of pizza, and then Miguel went to give you Pepto-Bismol, and then they poured it on his head, and then they had the first fight. Yeah. I remember that. He says, that's for my grandma.
Yes.
I'm like, so they established him. They established the character in the very first episode.
So many people say, if it wasn't for Rosa and her diarrhea, that never would have
happened. I was thinking you had it for upset stomach.
I don't know.
Oh my
I'm
God!
Sure it was just upset stomach.
Okay, so you got on the. What's it like working with the cast? I mean, you work with a very young and talented cast. Plus, you got heavy hitters like William Zabka and Martin Kove and Ian Griffin. I mean, what's it like sharing screen time with some of these both the youngsters and the veterans?
I don't really share much screen time with the youngsters except for Xolo, who plays Miguel. right? So the first time that I was around everyone was in the tournament of season one, and that was fun. It was fun being around the people. Um, so mainly, my main interactions have been with Billy Zabka, and of course Vanessa, who plays my daughter, who is an angel, and Cholo, who plays my grandson, right? So these
Right.
are the people I mainly talk to. And it is great. We get to, every time I have to show up, it's usually a scene in the house with them. And, it's like Billy gives me a big hug, and Vanessa's like, hey, Rosie. And I'm um, kind of flaky, and she calms me down. She's just a really nice lady. She's very nice. She's very grounded. That's why she has that role. She in person, that's her essence, is to be very grounded and just really, really sweet and loving. And Shola was just like a kid. He had braces. His mother was there, and we were talking about, how do you say this in Spanish? That doesn't sound right. And we said, let's get Shola's mother. And she got involved in the conversation. So he was just a kid, and he was eating constantly. He was growing, and
Right.
it was an eating scene, and he kept eating the prop food, and they had to keep filling his plate, whereas me and Vanessa, we're just like eating two pieces of rice. We just
Right.
can't be filling up on that stuff. So he was like a growing boy. He was really sweet, and he talked to me about, he was into, I think he was into Dungeons and Dragons, and he was like teaching at the local game store how to play Dungeons and Dragons, something like that. I'm not sure if that's exactly it, but which he was really excited about it, and it was like a little part-time job he had in LA, and he has grown up. Then he was started going to college, and he's just like has grown up to be such a beautiful young man inside and out, and he's just a great guy. Now, of the other people, when I started to meet, and of course, I adore him. So it's so funny because I had an interview the very first year, and I said, oh my God, he's so good looking. And they said, maybe there'll be like a romance between Yaya and Johnny. I'm like, please, no, it's going to be between Vanessa and Johnny. I saw that writing on the wall from far away. So, um,
You and I mentioned this. We mentioned this when we did our little pre-talk and pre-show, and you and I were both of agreement that we were both very happy for William Zabka, because he damn deserves this. He really deserves this. He deserves the success.
yes,
And
and working with him, and I mentioned this to you too, it's such a joy to watch him work because he's very focused, focused. So he's not flailing in any way. He's so focused in the way he does his scenes. Um, their perfection. He's so wonderful to watch. He's such a good actor. So I love to watch that process. Yeah.
I, I, yeah. Have you ever worked you ever worked in a movie where you actually picked up some of, has anybody ever given you, have you ever asked anybody for advice to handle a certain role or a certain a peer? Have you ever walked up to them and say, how would you handle this, or how do you think I should handle it? Or do you stay, pretty much within yourself when it comes
No,
down
no,
to
no, no, no. We actors will chat and have a great old time, and maybe talk about how you pronounce this word and things like that. When it comes to how to play something, you ask the director.
it?
So
Okay.
that's the
Um,
answer. Yeah, that's a professional thing to do.
I want to ask you about a couple of movies here because I'm fascinated by that, and we'll come. Let's see. I want to make sure if anybody's asking anybody. Uh, let's see. I want to make sure. Yeah. Cos mentioned Dungeon Master.
Hmm.
Uh, actor play. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Our good friend Gizmo's here wants to ask you if you were a part of the Norway shoot in downsizing.
The Norway? No, are you kidding? God, I wish. No, but I did go to Toronto to do that.
Okay. Um, I hear that's an amazing movie.
I think it is. When I read it was like reading a book when I read the script. It was like,
I
what a
remember
story.
I remember when I first heard about it, they played it off as a comedy. It's just like it's a comedy, and then when I read about the synopsis, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, this doesn't seem like slapstick comedy. This seems more like a dramedy. It's like there's a lot of heart to it. There's a lot of seriousness to it, a lot of commentary to it. Um, I you know um, I definitely would like to. I need to hurry and watch that movie. It's only been out for 10 years, but um, our friend Nora is here. Hi, Nora.
I know.
Nora is one of the sweetest people I know on the tube. She's very supportive of everybody. Glad you're here, Nora.
By the way, I hope that I'm not. I don't quote me. I know that Cholo worked in a game store teaching something like Dungeons and Dragons. I may have thought of that because I think my son plays that.
Okay.
Don't be
No,
don't be like
they
yeah.
played there a
Don't be
lot of
taking this
stores.
as gospel. I just remember he was this adorable young kid, and telling me about his life in LA. So
It's so sweet. You believe me, I'm sure he's not going to be bent out of shape. The fact that you remembered that he did it, I'm
yeah,
sure and there are a lot of kids that do that. They teach the younger. Sometimes they'll even teach adults.
yes,
Um, yeah, I used to play a card game, and there like me and like there's like maybe like 8 adults that were playing, because we play among ourselves and do tournaments, and then we would be there to play, and before you know it, you had like 10 moms and their boys walking up to you going like, can you help my son? Can you show my son how to do? And you're trying to get ready for the tournament, and then they come up to you and say, can you help? And of course you did. Of course you did. It's
of
like,
course, nice,
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I
It
gotta let
was
my dogs
fun.
in. My dogs are kind of like getting all antsy. Come on,
Sure.
what's going on with you guys? Come on, come on. There, okay. Yeah, this is taking a while, and they're saying,
Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye on the time here. But there are a couple of movies I want to talk to you about, because I think you and I wanted to bring these up because they're important. And so I want to talk to you about two movies for sure. There are going to be coming out soon, and one is called The Nana.
the Nana
Uh,
Project. Yes.
yeah, so tell us about that, because that looks absolutely right up my alley.
Um, it's about it's set in like a oh my god, I'm so sorry. It's like a senior community center, and I only was on there for one day, but I have a really good part. Um, where I'm talking. So somebody is like doing a little story on the senior citizens center, and they're interviewing me, and I'm saying yes, I came from Cuba, and I had a degree. I was an accountant, but when I came from Cuba, they wouldn't allow me to be an accountant because they said my education was worthless. So I had to just take menial jobs, and then I got married and had some kids, and now the center is helping. So this, I had like a speech because I'm doing a little interview with the news people. That was my whole part, and it's because one of the writers is basing it on his own grandparents, who were Cuban refugees, who were professionals, and their education was no good here, so they had to like start from the beginning, you know. And he was very, very happy with what I did. So that's what
It,
I
it,
did.
it,
Mercedes Rule is in this thing. She's like an Oscar-winning actress. She's an amazing actress, and just like I can't. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't remember what the plot exactly is. So.
I was just happy that she did a movie with Morgan Fairchild. That's just really.
Oh yes, yes.
Did you get to meet Morgan?
I did not meet her. I met Charlene Tilton.
Oh, from Dallas.
Yes, she's adorable. She's like really, really small.
Yes, tiny.
It really is short. But oh my God, what a mean thing to say. But she's really down to earth, and she just like taking care of business. All those older ladies were. I'm not quite as old as that, but I'll be the same.
On the other movie I want to talk to you about, I think this is a little bit of a, you know, you really are looking forward to this when it comes out, and that's Moonrise.
Yes, Moonrise is um it's a movie. It's going to be kind of like a Hallmark movie, but I don't think it's going to be on Hallmark. It'll be on Pureflix, but maybe somewhere else also. I don't exactly know when it's coming out, but it should come out this year. And it's about a country western singer who has lost his wife, and he is heartbroken. He's got 3 kids, and he can't even really take care of his kids properly. He's just bereft, basically, and he can't make any more music. So he hasn't written a song like in 2 years. And I am somebody who, me and my husband are the family retainers, kind of like we live there. This is a thing they do in Texas a lot. It's kind of like reminds me of the Parent Trap, where the girl lived with the lady who was like the housekeeper, and she also raised the kids and
Yeah,
kind of did everything.
Lisa Ann Walter.
What's her name?
Lisa Ann Walter. Are you talking about Terrence Traffic?
Yes, I love her.
I love Lisa Ann.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
she's awesome. I'm so happy for her for Abbott Elementary.
yes, yes.
She's so sassy. She's
She's so great.
absolutely sassy. I absolutely love Lisa Ann Walter. She's the cat's meow.
I love that you said that because
Yeah.
I pictured her as the protagonist in this book that I was reading that my friend wrote, and it's probably going to make a movie out of it. Like, this is who I was thinking of. But anyway, um, and then my husband is played by Wally Welch. He's like a legendary cowboy guy, and he's super. Oh my God, he's like out of casting 101. He's the boots and the hat and the rugged, and he's like a Marlboro man. He's so funny. It's so funny that he's so perfect for that role. Nice guy, nice gentleman. So he played my husband, and he's the guy who handles the ranch stuff. And then this girl named Piper Clerman plays Granger's teenage daughter, and she wants to ride the horse that his wife died riding that horse. And it's a long story, but Granger Smith plays the cowboy, and he's actually a country western singer.
Okay.
He's actually a country western singer. He's a good country western singer. I started watching a lot of his videos. I don't usually follow that music, but he's a really good natural actor. I am very excited about this project because it's one of those things that, like I said, I love doing projects that are so family oriented and that anyone can watch and benefit from. And I'm looking forward to that.
It's funny because because most of the communities where I'm at in the YouTube, we're all horror fans or science fiction fans and superheroes and all that. And like, I'm just thinking to myself, well, like, man, you people, fanboys they love you. They're gonna love you because your resume that you've done. You've done Black Panther. You've done how you opened up your story about Cobra Kai. You're saying, yeah, I was doing Godzilla, and there's like, I'm just sitting over here going like, damn, that's just amazing. Just like, because I love those types of movies. Those are the movies those are my jam,
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I can sit there and say, what's your favorite Godzilla monster? And the thing is, though, you would probably be able to answer that, and I'm thinking, like,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I much follow Marvel.
Just say Gigan.
Gigan. I don't know about
Okay.
that. I like the flying one with the.
Oh, Rodan. Rodan.
Yes. I was running from Rodan in that movie.
That's awesome. And you've done a lot of Marvel movies. You've done and you worked with Chris Pratt on the Tomorrow War. I mean, your body of work, Rose, is so cool. Do you ever go up there and tell them you want to do your own stunts?
Well, I do my own stunts sometimes. If they're not particularly difficult, like on in the Godzilla King of the Monsters, I had to fall down, and were going to have a stunt person in with the knee pads and the foam on the floor and all that. And I was like, I can do that. I mean, I'm not that decrepit. So I felt like I wanted to do it because it's important, to get that. Well, I just wanted to do it. It just seemed like I should. Now, in the Tomorrow War, I had to roll down the stairs, which I did not do that. But I did run up the stairs and kill the alien myself, so that was fun.
Oh yeah. See now, that just makes me that makes me mad because like when they do these movies on streaming services, a lot of these movies that they do like Netflix or Apple or IMDb, Amazon Prime, they don't do physical releases. So there's a lot of movies that like I would love to see the Tomorrow War, but I don't think it's going to get released anytime soon. And it frustrates me. Do you find it as an artist? Do you find it frustrating to know that maybe like half your fan base won't be able to see some of your best work because we can't buy it for ourselves? Is that something that actors talk about among yourselves?
No, we don't really, because like I have a lot of actors. I would say most of my friends are actors, and we're
Hmm.
all doing our own thing, and we don't watch each other's stuff all the time because we don't have all of the streaming services, and we just
Right? Is that
it all
something?
depends. Um, I guess I don't. I just feel like it's just a little frustrating. But what are you going to do? I mean, that's the way we live now.
Yeah, it's exactly like you said. It's a little frustrating. I mean, everybody here in our chat, they're all physical media people, such as myself, and it's, I want to be able to get a Godzilla movie and I want to be able to go downstairs, put it on there and look for you. I want to,
You mean
you know,
so you can't buy a DVD of the Tomorrow War?
no,
That's
a lot of anything that Netflix does itself,
uh-huh.
they don't, the same thing with Disney now. Disney's now doing the same thing. They don't release it on physical media anymore. They
I think
rather have, they
I
rather
never thought about that actually. So
like the first like the first I think the first four seasons of Cobra Kai are out. I've seen them. I've seen the first four seasons, but I have not, or the first three seasons actually, the first three seasons, but I have not seen the last two being released. I
when they
maybe
put it on
maybe the
DVD,
people in the
they
chat
put
can tell
Cobra,
me.
yeah, they put Cobra Kai on DVD so that you can buy it.
Yeah,
And I
I
think that if there's enough of a following, they would do that.
I hope so because I know Sony's still running it, so I'm really hoping that Sony will that's part of the deal they made with Netflix is like, hey, you could produce this movie, but we still retain the rights. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to put it on the open market. We're going to put it in the home market. So, because not everybody can do streaming services. You're right. There's a lot of people that don't do it. They can't afford it or they won't do it. And it's like when you tell someone like,
Because you
I'm
can only
sorry,
do so many. You can't have them all. It's crazy. It's so
yeah.
expensive. Yeah.
Um, you know what? Is it possible for when Moonrise comes out, when it comes out, would you be willing to come back and say hi to us and talk about that when it comes out?
I guess so. Sure. Why not?
Because I don't, because I think our time is just about up, and I don't want to overstep. I don't want to overstay my welcome, but I really would love to have you come back, and I really like to talk to you about more of your more of your career. I feel like I just barely scratched the surface.
Well, maybe by that time, I'm doing a TV show right now that I have to go back and forth to New York for, and maybe that'll come out in time, and maybe we can talk about that.
I would love to do that. Anything that you're doing, we want to know about it.
Okay. That's
Um, I would just love to do that. I'd like to sit down and talk again with you because, and I also want to sit there publicly and say thank you to Krista for setting this up. Krista is an awesome PR guru, and I want to say this to thank you to Krista for letting for setting this up with you and me. Tremendously grateful,
Thank
really.
you, Krista. Yes.
From the bottom of my heart, she just she delivers. I want to thank the chat for coming out there and supporting this show. I'm sorry if we didn't get a lot of Cobra Kai in this time, but you know how that rolls with me. I don't want to ask her 20 questions that she's heard it, like over and over and over. So, but thank you all for being patient and enjoying the interview and really getting to know Rose. She's as you can tell, she's a very diversified and very deep actress, and she's she's a hell of an artist, and we look forward to having her come back and talking about more about her career, about her new projects coming up. I will put all her social media information down in the description box. If you leave a comment in the comment section, I will pass on those questions on to her. So yes, I want to say real quick too. Tomorrow night we'll be back here at 8 o'clock. For Sarah Nicklin will be here with us at 8, and Thursday Rebecca Silk will be here with us at 8 o'clock as well. Stay right where you're at, Rose. I'm going to say goodbye to my chat. Thank you guys. I'll talk to you soon. See you tomorrow. And again, thank you for coming out, Rose. See you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Hold on.
Bye, y'all. I'm going to send you now.